Happiness. It's the one thing that almost every human being, no matter where they're from, no matter what they believe, seems to be chasing. We work for it. We sacrifice for it. We shape our entire lives around it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more we chase happiness, the more it seems to slip away. And so, the question arises, is it even possible to always be happy? At first, the answer feels obvious. We'd like to say yes, because after all, isn't happiness the ultimate purpose of life? But dig deeper, and the idea begins to unravel. The paradox of happiness. Imagine waking up one day and feeling absolutely content. No worries, no sadness, just pure, uninterrupted happiness. Now stretch that feeling across an entire lifetime. At first, it sounds like heaven. But soon, it starts to feel strange. Would happiness still feel like happiness if it never left you? Or would it become background noise, blending into monotony? The paradox is simple. Happiness exists because unhappiness exists. Just like light means nothing without darkness, joy means nothing without sorrow. To feel the peak, we must know the valley. And that is why the idea of being always happy carries within it the seeds of its own destruction. Constant happiness would, paradoxically, erase the very contrast that makes happiness meaningful in the first place. Why we struggle. Humans are wired for survival, not happiness. Our brains evolved to notice threats, dangers, and problems far more than pleasures. That's why we replay mistakes, worry about the future, and rarely feel satisfied with the present. Psychologists call this the negativity bias. And it's also why happiness feels fleeting. No matter how good life is, the mind eventually adapts and returns to a neutral state. This is known as the hedonic treadmill, the psychological trap where more achievements, more possessions, or more pleasures never quite deliver lasting happiness. We run and run and run only to find ourselves back where we started. The illusion of constant joy. There's an industry built on selling us the idea that happiness is permanent. Books promise 10 simple secrets. Ads show us perfect smiling families. Social media floods us with curated highlights of lives that seem endlessly joyful. And yet, deep down, we know the truth. No one escapes suffering. Loss, disappointment, loneliness, they come for us all. The problem isn't that happiness is impossible. The problem is that we've mistaken happiness for a state we must live in 24/7, rather than a fleeting visitor that comes and goes. A different way to see it. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Maybe happiness isn't about controlling life to be endlessly joyful. Maybe it's about cultivating a way of living where joy, sorrow, pleasure, and pain are all allowed to exist without resistance. Think of happiness not as a permanent home, but as a guest. Sometimes it arrives without warning. Sometimes it leaves before we're ready. But in between its visits, life is still happening, full of meaning, full of lessons, full of moments that shape us. The deeper pursuit. Ask yourself this: do you want to be happy, or do you want your life to mean something? Happiness fades, meaning lasts. A parent caring for a child may not always feel happy, but the act is deeply meaningful. An artist struggling with self-doubt may not always feel joy, but their creation adds richness to life. True fulfillment isn't about erasing sadness. It's about living a life so aligned with who you are and what you value that even suffering feels purposeful. In this way, happiness becomes a byproduct of living authentically, rather than the main prize we endlessly chase. The answer to the question, so, is it possible to always be happy? No. And that's not a tragedy, it's a gift. Because without sadness, happiness would mean nothing. Without emptiness, fullness would go unnoticed. Without struggle, triumph would lose its glory. The goal isn't to be always happy. The goal is to live in such a way that happiness, when it visits, finds you ready. And when it leaves, you still have meaning to carry you forward. Closing reflection. Happiness, then, is not a permanent state to conquer, but a fleeting experience to cherish. It comes and it goes, like the sun slipping behind clouds. And that's okay. Because life isn't measured by the number of happy moments we collect, but by how deeply we live all of them. The joyful, the painful, the ordinary. Maybe the real secret isn't to always be happy. Maybe the real secret is to simply live fully so that when happiness arrives, it doesn't feel like a miracle, but like an old friend returning home.